Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Today is going to be part one of a 3-part beginner crochet series. So across the next 3 videos, which will be coming to you throughout the month of August, I am going to take you through the basic stitches, show you how to start and finish crochet projects, as well as giving you a tutorial for 2 super easy, fun, beginner friendly crochet projects. Throughout these videos, I'm going to use a variety of wool or yarn weight and crochet hook size just to show you a few different things. But all of these projects that I'm showing will work with any weight of yarn and any hook size. When you first buy your ball of yarn, it will have a label on it which will tell you what size hook to use. So that's a good starting point. Obviously, the chunkier the weight is, and the bigger the crochet hook is, the bigger your project will end up being. So in this first episode, I'm just going to be showing you the basic stitches so that you can get started with any crochet project. I am using this wool here, which is a chunky weight, and I'm pairing that with a 5mm crochet hook. So just a couple of quick things to note before we get started. Crochet terminology is written either in UK terms or in US terms. There's just a few slight differences. I personally use UK terms, but I will put the US equivalent up on screen and also tell you so that you know for whatever pattern you're using, you know what stitches it is, because some patterns will use different terminology. Also, most people will crochet holding their hook in their right hand and then their working wool or yarn in their left hand, as well as their project in their left hand. I personally, I don't know whether this is just because I come from more of a knitting background or I'm not entirely sure, but I personally like to hold both my hook and my yarn in my right hand and then my project in my left hand. But because the more common way is with the working yarn in the left hand, I will show you both ways just so that you know what to do, but it's the exact same outcome whichever way you do it. You're still doing the exact same thing and can follow any tutorial or any pattern using it either way, so you can choose which one works best for you. So crochet projects will likely start in one of 2 ways, either with a chain or with a magic ring. So I'm going to start off by teaching you the chain. So we first need to create a slip knot. There are many different ways to do this. Different people will do it different ways. The way I do it is I hold the tail end of my wool just pinched here between my fingers and my thumb. I move these 2 fingers out the way. I then wrap the yarn around my fingers, crossing it over at the back and just pinching that in place. I then loosen this end where I'm holding the tail and slip my fingers through and just pick up that end and pull it tight. And there's the slip knot. I'll just show you that one more time. So holding my tail end, twisting it round these 2 fingers and crossing it at the back. Then slightly loosening the tail, putting my fingers through and grabbing that other loop like that. If you are not a fan of this method, I will leave some links below to other slip knot methods because there are so many different ways that people do it. So now we have the slip knot, I'm just going to put that onto my hook and then pull on my working end. So the end that's just the little one, that's the tail end, and then the end attached to the rest of your ball of yarn is the working. So just pulling on the working end to tighten that around your hook. And we're now ready to get started with our chain. So firstly, showing you the more traditional way, you're going to hold your hook in your right hand, however's comfortable for you, and then with my working end, I'm just going to kind of wrap it around my fingers. Again, however's comfortable for you. And I'm also just going to hold on to this tail end just to keep it under control for now. So to create our chain, we are going to, with the working end, that's looped around my finger here, yarn over the hook and then pull up and pull that loop through like that. So I'll show you that again. So you yarn over the hook, pull it to the end and pull that loop through. One more time, yarn over and pull up a loop. So far we have created 3 chains, so you can see the little V stitches here. So that's 1, 2 and 3. Then I'll also show you the other way. I find it much easier to keep my tension on my yarn the same when I hold it this way, but whatever works best for you. So I'm using my left hand to keep hold of this tail and these chains. Then in my right hand, I'm just going to loop the working yarn around my finger and also hold on to my hook. But it's still the exact same thing. So we're going to yarn over and then pull up a loop. Again, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull up a loop. So we now have 4, 5, 6 chains. I'm just going to get to a nice even 10 and then I will show you the next stitch. Okay, so I now have 10 chains here, so just again showing you can count the V's. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 chains. So the first stitch that I'm going to show you is the double crochet, or if we're using US terms, it's called a single crochet. Now, when you do your chain, you will never, or at least hardly ever, put a stitch into this first chain from the hook. You will normally start in the second one for a double crochet, or sometimes further along depending on what stitch you're doing, but your pattern will always tell you which chain you should be going into. So the loop on your hook doesn't count. This is your first chain and then this is your second chain. So for this I'm going to work in the second chain from the hook, so this one just here. Again, showing you the traditional way first. To create a double crochet stitch, you're going to put your hook into that second chain, so just into that top loop of that second chain, like that. Yarn over, pull through. Now you have 2 loops on your hook, and then you're going to yarn over and pull through both of those, and this is your first stitch. So I'll show you that again. So you're going to go into the next chain along, so just here, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over and pull through those 2 loops. Okay, and again showing you the other way. Going into this next chain along here, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through both loops on your hook. So you now have 3 double crochet stitches done. So I'll show you again this method. Putting your hook through that next chain, yarn over, pull through, yarn over and pull through 2. So I'm just going to continue with that all the way along this row, just so you can see it really clearly. I'll switch back to the other way so that you can see that again. So just going into this next chain along, just here, yarn over, pull through, yarn over and pull through both the loops. Then going into the next chain, yarn over, pull through, yarn over and pull through 2. final one going into just this top loop of the chain, yarn over, pull through, yarn over and pull through. 2. So there we go, we have that first row of double crochet stitches. So to start a new line, I'm going to chain 1, so just like we did in the first chain, I'm going to yarn over and pull through, and I'm then going to turn my work around. So that's how you turn when you are working in rows like this. You just create a chain, your pattern will tell you exactly how many chains you need to create, and then you can get started on the next line. So for this next line, I'm going to chain 1 more, and I'm now going to show you the next stitch, which is a half treble, or if you're using US terms, it's a half double. So I'm going to ignore these 2 chains that I created here and just go into the top of this first stitch right here. This time we're going under both loops of the stitch that kind of form a V shape. So to create a half treble, you are going to begin with a yarn over, then you're going to insert your hook under both of these loops like this, yarn over, pull up a loop. You should have 3 loops on your hook, and then you're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops like that. So I'll show you that again. Yarn over, insert your hook under the next stitch, so these 2 loops here, yarn over, pull through, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all 3. Just like that. Again, showing you the other way when you hold your yarn in your right hand. Yarn over, find that next V, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. Showing you that again. Yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through all 3. Yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over and pull through all 3. So I'm going to continue that in these next 4 stitches that I have left, and then we'll move on to the next line. Sometimes this final stitch can be slightly harder to get into just because it's kind of slightly on a bend. So just take your time with it. If it's easier, you can go under 1 loop and then under the second loop. And that is our second line, and these are the half treble stitches. So you can kind of see a little bit of a difference in the shape and size of the double crochet versus the half treble. The half trebles are a bit taller. So I'm now going to move on to the next line. So I'm going to chain 1 and turn, and then I'm also just going to chain another 2 just to get me up to a good height to start my next line. Now, when you have worked a half treble or a treble row, you will kind of see that it looks, when you hold it flat like this is your stitch here. That's not your stitch. So if you turn it so that you're looking at the top, you can see that these two loops here are your stitch. If you're working kind of going round and round, so you only ever see this side, it's much easier because it's just right here. But if you are working in rows where you're having to turn, it can be a bit confusing, so it's always worth just flipping your work so that you can see the top stitches. Okay, so now I'm going to show you the treble, or in the US terms, it would be the double. We're going to start with a yarn over. We're going to go into this first stitch here, so ignoring these 3 chains that I've done. Insert your hook there, yarn over, and pull up a loop. You've got 3 loops on your hook. So then we're going to yarn over, and rather than pulling through all 3, we're just going to pull through these first 2. So now we have 2 loops on our hook. Yarn over again and pull through these final 2. And that's your first treble crochet stitch. Okay, so just once again, you're going to yarn over, insert your hook into this next stitch, yarn over, pull through, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through the first 2, 2 loops, yarn over and pull through those 2. I'll show you one more time this way and then show you the other way. So yarn over, insert your hook into this next stitch, and you will find that when you hold it like this, that yarn over from inserting your hook into the stitch kind of happens on its own, and that's absolutely fine. As long as that yarn over is happening, that's all that matters. Pull through, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, 2 loops, yarn over and pull through the last 2. Okay, and then I'll just show you the other way. It's exactly the same process. So yarn over, insert your hook into this next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through the final 2. Again, this final stitch can be slightly harder to find because it's kind of on the bend and also where you have these chains. So just take your time, turn your work so that you can see the stitches really clearly. Even if you're crocheting holding your yarn like this, if you're struggling to find your stitch, just use this first finger here just to hold that wool out of the way just while you find that stitch. And then you can just pick it back up, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. So there we go, that is the treble crochet stitch, and as you can see, again, it's just getting that little bit taller. So now I'm going to chain 1 and turn my work around. I'm going to chain 3 more so that I have a total of 4 chains. Just again, it just gets it up to a better height to start that next line, but your pattern will always tell you how many chains to do. The final stitch that I'm going to show you is the double treble, or if you're using US terms, it's just the treble. So for this, you're going to yarn over twice. So you're starting with these 3 loops on your hook rather than 2 or 1. Then you're going to go into that first stitch just here, yarn over, pull through. So now you have 4 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through the first 2 so that you have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through those final 2. So showing you that again, you yarn over twice, insert your hook, yarn over pull through. You've got 4 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, 2 loops on your hook, and yarn over and pull through the final 2. Yarn over twice, insert your hook into that next stitch, yarn over and pull through so that you have 4 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, 2 loops on your hook, and then yarn over and pull through the final 2. And then if you want to hold your yarn the other way, you are going to yarn over twice, go into that next stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through those final 2. So you can see that whatever way you hold your hook and your yarn, you're still getting the exact same result. If you look at all of these treble crochet stitches here, you can't really tell which ones I did holding my yarn in this hand and which ones I did holding my yarn in this hand. It creates exactly the same effect. So I would say just go for whatever feels most comfortable for you. And there you go, these are your double treble crochet stitches. So those are the 4, I would say, most common stitches that you will come across in crochet. And then to finish off this little swatch, you're going to want to, I always recommend just creating one final chain, like that. Then you're going to grab some scissors and cut, leaving a little tail, and then just pull your hook up, which pulls that loop through, and then just tighten it. And then you can just use a tapestry needle to weave in these ends. I'll just give you a quick demonstration of how to do that because it's not always clear the best way to do that. So you need to figure out which side is the right side. Your pattern will most likely tell you which side is the right side. For this it's quite difficult to tell, but I would say that this is the right side. I think this is the side that just looks that bit neater. So I'm going to turn it over to the wrong side and just thread that through my tapestry needle. And then all I'm doing is just weaving this loose end just through a few stitches. It doesn't need to be anything particularly precise, just finding any little bits where it's kind of easy to weave my needle in. I like to kind of go in an up and down motion, which makes it much harder for it to unravel. Just like that will be fine. And you can do the same with this tail end here. So there you go, those are the basic stitches, and that gives you a good starting point. Now, as I said, crochet projects either start with a chain or they start with a magic ring. So magic ring will be used for any project that's going to be worked going round in a circle. So things like coasters, granny squares, even though they're a square, they go round in a circle-like motion, and so many other things. The magic ring is one of these things that seems really complicated when you first try it, when you first learn it, but actually once you get the hang of it, it's really not that bad. So to create your magic ring, you're going to start the exact same way that we started our slip knot. So you have your tail end here, and I'm just going to hold it between my thumb and these first two fingers and just wrap these bottom two fingers around that just to hold it secure. Okay, I'm going to bring my working yarn behind these two fingers, turn my hand over and cross like that. And I'm just going to pinch that under this finger here. I'm just making this X a little bit bigger just to make it a bit easier for you to see. So I'm taking my hook upside down, I'm going under the underneath cross, okay, under there, and then I'm going over the top of the top line and grabbing that with my hook and pulling it through. And as I pull it through, I'm twisting my hook towards me to create this loop on my hook. I'm then going to go under this bit just here, picking that up, and I'm going to pull that through that loop. Then you can let go with your fingers, and there you have your magic ring. So I'll just show you that again. You're holding your tail end, you've got your working here that you're going to bring around your fingers, take over the top to create this X. You have your top line and your bottom line in this kind of V here. You can sort of just ignore the second half of the cross and just focus on this side here. So you want to go under the first line, over that one, bring it up, twist it round, go back under, bring it up and pull through. Then you can tighten your working end, and then you have your magic ring. So if I do a round of double crochet stitches, so you're going to go into the magic circle and yarn over, pull up a loop so that you have 2 loops on your hook, and then yarn over and pull through 2, and you have your first double crochet stitch. Now when I'm working in a round like this, I like to mark that first stitch with a stitch marker. So to do that, you're just finding the top of that stitch and just popping that stitch marker through there, because sometimes when we pull this tight, these first stitches can get a little bit lost, so I always just like to mark it. So I'm just going to continue, and I'm going to do 5 double crochet stitches into this ring. So just inserting my hook into that ring, yarn over, pull through, yarn over and pull through the 2 loops. So it's just the exact same process of a double crochet stitch, but rather than going into a chain or into a stitch, we are just going into this circle here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So once you have the correct number, whatever your pattern tells you to do, you can drop your working yarn for a minute and just pull on this tail end to tighten up the circle. It's called a magic ring because it is a little bit like magic. When you pull it, it just tightens everything up and it just becomes this invisible star. And we marked this first stitch because, as you can see, it does kind of almost disappear a little bit. So to finish off a round, you will quite often be asked to slip stitch into the first stitch. So I'm just going to take my stitch marker out because I'm happy that I know where this stitch is. So I'm going to insert my hook into that stitch. I'm going to yarn over, and then I'm going to pull through both the stitch and the loop on my hook, and that creates a slip stitch to finish off the round. So that is how to create a magic ring and how to insert stitches into it, and then how to create a slip stitch. And then if we were going to carry on with this project, I would probably be doing a stitch into that same stitch that I just slip stitched into. So rather than turning your work like we did when we started with the chain, you're just carrying on, going round and round and slip stitching. So there you go, you now have your starting points for any crochet project, and that is the end of part 1. So take these next 2 weeks to practice these stitches, get familiar with crochet, and I'll be back on the 16th of August with our first beginner project, which will be a coaster. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, please do give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss the next 2 parts, and I will see you on the 16th.